Mr. Speaker, Shap Smith, thank you for taking a few minutes to talk to me.
It's great to be here, John. Thanks.
Great. So you got a whole. It's a brave new world, whole new environment. Both because there's a friendly, Democratic governor going in, but also you are going to be the senior leader here.
Yes.
You're the big dog with new Senate leadership coming in. I'm wondering how that's going to make it. How that's going to feel different for you, if that's going to change your approach to anything, and then maybe it's the sense of what your first priorities might be.
Well, it's definitely going to be a lot different. It's been wonderful over the last 2 years working with the Senate President Pro Tem, now Governor-elect Peter Shumlin. I think Peter and I had actually a very good working relationship. We disagreed sometimes, but we always figured out a way to get through it, and most of the time we agreed on things and were able to work in concert. And I think the fact that he was elected governor and the fact that we retained a really strong majority in both the House and the Senate is a testament to the fact that we did really good work over the last 2 years. I'm looking forward to working with John next year. I think John Campbell and I have had a very good working relationship over the last several years. I've made it a point also in my time in the legislature to try to establish good relationships with other members of the Senate, people like Ann Cummings and Ginny Lyons and Senator Maas and Senator Sears. Jane Kitchell and I had an opportunity to meet yesterday. So I'm hopeful that the continuity in some of those roles will allow us to continue to do really good work.
Is that I guess some of the coverage is that Campbell and possibly Ann Cummings, maybe a couple other folks might be looking at the leadership position. So does that constitute an endorsement of John Campbell there?
Well, when you're in the House, it's very important to stay out of Senate politics. So I'm not endorsing anybody. I have worked with both Ann and with John. And I like both of them, and I could work easily with both of them. So I don't know how they've sorted it out, and we'll see how that all works out.
This is the second house, I guess you're going to be in charge of here, which looks a lot like the first one.
It does in some respects, yes.
A lot of the net numbers are more or less the same, right, and mostly the same faces. Are you contemplating any kind of serious committee changes, or are the committees going to look more or less?
I'm sitting down and talking with the committee members and the chairs of the committee now. We will have a significant change in that Floyd Neese has decided that he's not going to run for majority leader again. And Floyd's been in leadership for the last 6 years. He was an incredibly important part of my leadership team. His counsel was invaluable, and I think there were a couple things about Floyd. One, he had a real finger on the pulse of the caucus, but also I think had a really good finger on the pulse of sort of what those who profess to be progressive followers believed in, and he was just really invaluable in that respect. And so I'm going to miss having him around. Lucy LaRiche has said that she wants to run for majority leader. She was part of the leadership team last year. Great, love Lucy. I think she's going to do a great job. And Willem Jewett has said that he's going to run for the assistant majority or whip, and he's been great too. He and I have served together since I started, and Lucy came in 2 years after that.
So one of the things you're going to be looking at that people aren't really talking about yet, because it's such a different situation here than the rest of the country, but it's going to be redistricting.
Yeah. So we're already looking at that. We've worked with the party to appoint the Democratic representative for the redistricting commission. That's Gary Gossens, who was involved in redistricting in 2002 and is very savvy individual. You always want to make sure that you have a CIA agent as your person who's involved in redistricting. You want somebody who's good picking up on intelligence, and so we're working with Gary, and then I've been talking with Donna Swaney, who is going to be the chair of the Government Operations Committee, and who has been around this issue before. And Donna is just, I mean, you just don't get a whole lot better than Donna Swaney, and I think that she'll be a great person to lead the charge in the House on that issue.
Yeah, of course, last time it, really different dynamic. You didn't have the straight up
Majority.
and down majority here, right? And the majority in the House, and it got a little contentious there, especially. Just full disclosure, I was, they would do these meetings at the party office, and which was a few feet away from me, so I got a front row seat to all the frustrations. But there were a lot of sort of bruised egos and bruised feelings, I know, among particularly the progressives, who at first were helping out, sort of being part of the Democratic team, and then thought, saw an opportunity to maybe get a better deal for themselves working with Speaker Freed, and ended up really not in a very good position. Do you see them fitting into this process at all?
Well, I mean, I see everybody having a voice. Certainly the Redistricting Commission is going to put forward a plan, and it's going to have Republican, Progressive, and Democratic membership. Tom Little, former representative from Shelburne, was appointed by the Chief Justice to head up the commission. I think Tom will be fair. He's very good at it. When it gets to the legislature, as in all matters that are in the legislature, there's a political component to it. One of the things that I've really tried to do as Speaker of the House is try to give everybody a voice in what is going on, and I would expect that. I don't expect to offer any pronouncements like the late Cola Hudson, who I had tremendous respect for, saying, "To the winner go the spoils." But I think that it's always difficult. I expect it to be difficult, but in the end, I expect the process to be as fair as possible. As it turned out, the redistricting plan that was drawn up in 2002 did not work out so well for the majority party at that time in the House.
Now, you're in one of those sort of slightly odd districts. Do you think there's going to be an opportunity to maybe do a little realignment in some of these districts where the communities don't feel necessarily quite as tight, or are we going to be in sort of stasis with the population?
Well, we'll have to see what the population numbers look like. I mean, I think that there are certain communities that have had pretty significant population growth. I think of a community like Waterbury. I think some of the communities in Chittenden County as well. So, it's until you see actually the population numbers, it's hard to understand exactly where you're going to have to shift things around. Certainly, I know that when I ran the first time in my district, it's Morrisville, Elmore, Worcester, and Woodbury. Worcester and Woodbury had sued to to have the district split up. And, we'll definitely have to look at those kind of things and see where we can go. I hope that they've appreciated they elected me in 2002. I hope they appreciate the fact that we've tried to be good to the district and that they have a good representative from that district.